The creativity at the heart of music making can help raise attainment and motivate young people. That's one of the many assertions in a draft obtained by Newsnight of what's been called the Music Manifesto. The words sound just fine, but as our culture correspondent Madeline Holt reports, some of the key players who are being asked to sign up to it are getting worried. They fear the manifesto might not deliver what it appears to promise.
Music can be magic. The opening words of the government's draft Music Manifesto. Patronising as it sounds, it is at least accurate. The first notes in music making resound throughout this school in inner city Leeds. As at so many other primary schools, it's a challenge fitting in music when half the timetable is taken up with intensive daily lessons in literacy and numeracy. Here they do some of it in lunchtime and after school. The community Victoria Primary serves has been designated as seriously deprived, so the school has set aside money over the years to buy all its musical instruments and offer them to pupils for free.
Okay, can you tell me what you're going to play today, Jenny?
The national anthem.
Let me have a listen.
Staff would like to do much more.
When all the musical instruments have been allocated and a child has come along and said, but I want a lesson too, and we have to put them on a waiting list for that. And that's quite heartbreaking because you want to meet the needs of every child if you possibly can.
The government promised in its last election manifesto to ensure primary schools offer more chance to learn music and provide primary pupils with wider opportunities to learn musical instruments. But the government's own research suggests only 8% of primary pupils are learning an instrument in school. Meanwhile, a survey by the National Union of Teachers estimates primary schools spend an average of 45 minutes a week on music, less than on any other subject. The percussionist Evelyn Glennie has been campaigning to restore music's place in the classroom. Last year, she had talks with the Education Secretary, Charles Clarke. She thinks unless more time and money is invested now, school children of the future will become strangers to some kinds of music.
I feel we have one more generation left in order to prove that classical music can survive, for example. That scares me. To have that one generation and have the pressure on them to show us that the likes of classical music, and that's just one form of music, can or cannot survive is just utterly ridiculous. And it's just extremely scary. I'm highly concerned about this, and we have got to do something about it. There are too many people who care for the government not to do something.
The government shows signs it's listening. The school's Standards Minister, David Miliband, is putting together the Music Manifesto in collaboration with the Culture Department, where Estelle Morris is now an Arts Minister. Newsnight's got hold of a draft copy, which is due to be published later this year. It talks passionately about the benefits of music for all. It states, we will support the government's election manifesto pledge to develop opportunities for sustained instrumental and vocal tuition in primary schools, offered free of charge or at a reduced rate. We believe every school child should have a sound foundation in general musicianship as part of their statutory entitlement. And we want all young people to develop a music habit that will sustain them through their lives. Ministers want the many music organisations and practitioners who are advising on the manifesto to sign up to it. That's the hard bit. We've spoken to some of the key organisations who are being asked by the government to support its music manifesto. They've told us they think that under David Miliband and Estelle Morris, there is a new enthusiasm to have more music in and around schools. But there are reservations. The manifesto as it stands, they believe, is disappointingly vague, particularly when it comes to how its expansive vision is going to be funded. Colin Brackley-Jones is one of the people advising on the manifesto. What bothers him is that it's billed as a guide to the government's own policy commitment, rather than a pledge to deliver.
The Music Manifesto is basically a good thing. We can't deny that for a moment. Without a commitment of finance, it's relatively empty. We need that commitment of finance, and the commitment to finance has to come from the government, both the DFES and the DCMS. Both of those will be contributing, I'm sure, but it's that commitment which we absolutely have to have.
And you won't sign that manifesto until you've got that?
We shall have to look very carefully at what our commitment would be to it before being able to sign up.
Another member of the seminar working on the manifesto is worried the word money is nowhere to be seen.
If it can work, it's going to be great, but it's going to need money, there's no doubt about it, because if you're going to give a consistent provision of music tuition for kids around the country, then they've got to have access to instruments. You've got to put instruments into the schools, and that's going to take a lot of money.
Those pushing for a commitment on funding think the timing is good. Last week, Ofsted said schools needed to put more effort into subjects beyond literacy and numeracy. At Victoria Primary, there's intriguing evidence that since investing in music, performance has gone up across the curriculum.
Our literacy results have got better over the last few years and significantly better in recent years. I would say that the Broad and Balanced curriculum, and music in particular, has made a huge contribution towards that.
How do you think it's affected you?
Well, I've got more confident when I do schoolwork and stuff like that, and when I play it, I've learned to be more confident when I play it in front of people, things like that.
There's no question in my mind that music is, in fact, our daily medicine. There is no question in my mind how important music is in dealing with other subjects. And there is no question in my mind as far as the importance of music when it comes to communication, understanding other cultures.
Mr. Miliband's manifesto says music matters for its own sake, but it won't matter much if the fine words aren't backed with cash. Some of its sentiments might then come back to haunt him. He says he wants his declaration to inspire, not to gather dust.
Madeline.